All right, we are live here on the Slice. Not live, but recorded, but wanted to jump in here for a quick recap to Rafa Nadal losing again. Fourth match in a row that he has lost, all to North Americans, might I add. So a little bit of Canadian USA pride there. But what's happening? Why is Nadal losing four matches in a row after the US Open, or including the US Open and afterwards? Is this normal? What does this mean for the future? Does this mean he's done or he's losing his edge? We're going to talk about that on this episode of The Slice and give a little insight onto why I think these younger guys are beating him and what exactly they're kind of finding an angle in on, and what that means for everything, for Rafa going forward, for the big two going forward, and for the young guys coming up next. So welcome to The Slice. Thanks for being here. So I am just getting into Turin. I'm going to be at around the event for the next couple of days, just soaking it in as one of my last events here in Europe. But it is my birthday. So as a happy birthday wish, you can click the like button and subscribe and get us over 15,000 subscribers, which is a big goal or big milestone for us. So thanks for being here. And yeah, Rafa Nadal, very interesting. Fourth loss in a row. Before we quickly get into that, BetStamp is our presenting sponsor. Bet like a pro. If you had bet on Rafa Nadal to lose to TFO, then Tommy Paul, then Taylor Fritz, then Felix Auger-Aliassime, I think you would have been able to make some pretty good money on it. And if you were going to bet, you should be using BetStamp, which is where you can compare all the odds from the different sports books and line shop to make sure that you're getting the best bang for your buck. It's kind of like a no-brainer. So click the link below and use our code when you sign up. I would appreciate that. But yeah, Rafa Nadal in not the best way right now, is he? I think I actually used that photo from the last time I made a video. Maybe this is a slightly more recent one. But Rafa Nadal has run aground on some hard times as far as winning goes on the ATP Tour. Like we've all seen, he's lost to Francis Tiafoe at the US Open. I think, if I remember correctly, his son was born after that. So he took about a month or so, maybe even more, off the tour. He played the Laver Cup in doubles with Fed. And then he came and lost to Tommy Paul in Paris, and then, which was a bit more surprising, but it was his first match back from that break. Tommy Paul's played great, so it's not super surprising for some other reasons as well, which we'll get to. Then he loses to Taylor Fritz, which really to me wasn't that surprising. He'd already lost to him earlier in the year in the Indian Wells final. And then he lost today to Felix Auger-Aliassime, friend of the show, in a match where, again, it was not super surprising that a guy like Felix, who's been absolutely dominant on the indoor hard courts ever since the US Open, beat him on a quicker court, indoor hard court. So he is on a bit of a rough patch here. So let's look at just the scores and some of the interesting percentages here. But I'll give you a quick 3-pointers or 4-pointers on why I think, or on what's going on here. First of all, his match toughness, match preparedness, match form is down. He said after, I think, the Fritz loss here in the ATP finals, that, he's practicing at a great level. He feels very confident in practice, but in the matches, it's just not quite there. It's maybe 5%, 10% behind where he wants it to be. And against the best players in the world, that's not going to get it done, even if you're Rafa. He did have the baby, so clearly he might have been distracted, not sleeping as well, taking more time away from tennis just to, do the bigger things or do the more important things in life. So you can't really blame him. So his match fitness is down. The young guys believe is number 2. Felix believes that he can win. Interesting thing. Go to theslicetennis.com, read my latest interview with Felix, which was in Basel. And I asked him about Felix versus Rafa's match back at the French Open. And I said, it was, I think, 3-all in the 5th set. You guys were on serve. How much did you believe that you could actually get over the line there? And, he said he got broken there. And then he said right when he got broken, and then he said he felt basically not very close to winning that match at all. Didn't really have that same maybe level of belief. So I think this win for Felix, and Felix beat Djokovic at the Laver Cup. Taylor Fritz had already beat Rafa earlier in the year. These guys are starting to believe more and more and more. And the more wins they get over the top guys, the more they believe that it can happen again. So I think today was a big one for Felix. Shout out, friend of the show. Anyways, Canadian. This is more of a video about Rafa, but great win for Felix. Super composed. Continues the great form that he's had ever since the US Open. So yeah, so these younger guys believe they're not giving away as much pre-match to the big two now as they used to. They believe they can win, and most of them have done it. And Rafa, let's be honest, we've all known this for a long time. He's really not as scary on indoor hard court as he is on clay, for sure, or even just outdoor hard court. The conditions are typically quicker indoors, even though they're all getting way closer together. But the main thing is it's easier for these players who hit big to get Rafa on the back foot and get him off balance, which is, it's all about, people think about the firepower when it comes to Rafa, and that's obviously there with his huge forehand, huge power game. But the biggest thing that he dominates and is way better at than anyone else in the world on clay is balance, movement, and defense. And it's basically just impossible to get Rafa on the back foot or playing off balance on clay. Whereas on the quicker indoor hard courts, you're seeing it with the backhands mainly of Fritz, Tommy Paul, TFO, who are all flat, can hit it flat cross court and really rush Rafa on that forehand side. He's just not as dangerous, and he gets pushed back on these indoor hard courts. And then a guy like Felix can just out hit basically anyone right now. So he's also able to do that. And then Rafa's not as imposing when he's on the back foot. Like I said, these guys can end points quicker. So that's number 3. And then number 4 is I'm wondering if this is normal, since that, Rafa has never won the year-end championships. Typically at the end of the season, he's banged up. His body takes a toll from the way that he plays, and he does not play his best tennis here. We all know that. But is this the new normal where he's losing more and more? Because it's not just the end of the season. This is the only time he's lost 4 matches in a row since 2009, I think, the end of the season as well. We'll see. Is this the new normal? He had such a great start to the year, obviously winning, a bunch of titles, winning the Australian Open, then winning the French Open. But I do think it's going to take a lot of work for him to get back to that confidence level and that dominance level that he was at. And he was not playing Djokovic early on in that hard court swing. So it'll be interesting to see if he's able to get that confidence back at the beginning of 2022. I'm not sure, or 2023. It'll be tough. I'm not sure exactly if he will, but he's obviously going to try because he's a fighter. So let's take a look before anything else to see what I'm talking about here. 1 second. Okay, so these are Rafa's last matches. So the US Open, we see TFO loses to TFO in 4 sets. TFO outserved him for sure as far as serve effectiveness, or I guess barely, but he hit 18 aces, didn't hit a ton of percentage in, but it's fairly close there. And this was, to be fair, a much closer match, 4 sets. But if you do see I wouldn't say Rafa served extremely well. That's just a tough loss, though. The next 3, though, are the more indicative to me of the stats that we see in there. So against Tommy Paul, his first serve percentage was good, 70%, but he didn't win that much on it. He won 65% of them. And Tommy was able to win 84% of his first serve. So Tommy clearly won the serving battle there. And that is not a great sign for Rafa. Not winning a ton of his first serve points, even on a indoor hard court, and losing less than 50%, or losing more than 50% of his second serves. And then you come to the 2 matches in the ATP finals, and it's kind of a similar story. Taylor Fritz, 80% win on first serve. Rafa, 73, a little bit down. Maybe Taylor Fritz, but then also the win percent on the second serve, even higher, 88%. So it's like Rafa not able to handle this serve, the big serve for Taylor Fritz on the indoor hard court. And then today, if we look at the serve percentage as well, Rafa loses the win percentage on the first serve. Again, 67% compared to 81%. Obviously Felix has a much bigger serve, but I still feel like he's not able to return as well on these courts. And then also his serve hasn't been as effective in these latest matches. So I think it's normal. I don't think if you're a Rafa fan, obviously it's depressing to see your guy lose over and over, but he's won everything. He's still the all-time leader in slams ever for now. And he's won basically. He's had a great year. He's had a great 2022 year. He's plays Ruud next, and we'll see about that. I think he still has a slim chance of becoming the world number one. I think he would have to it's very slim chance. I think if I read tonight, if Casper Ruud wins one set against Fritz or something like that, Carlos Alcaraz will be confirmed as the number one player to end the year. So yeah, it's definitely a great year for Rafa, and this has just been a bad streak for him, not being able to get back any kind of mojo going or steam rolling. Losing to TFO at the US Open, that's a loss, whatever. That was in the 4th round. But then losing to Tommy Paul at Paris when he came back, wasn't able to get a good feeling there. Again, Taylor Fritz at the ATP Finals, not an easy place to start. Loses there, and then Felix is gunning. He's one of the best players on tour right now, absolutely. So it's just tough to get the wheels turning if you're an older Rafa Nadal who's coming off of time off to be with his kid. So I don't think there's really that much cause for concern. It's just if you're a Rafa fan, him losing is not great. And I don't think that this is going to continue into the new year, but it will be interesting to see where his confidence level's at, especially against Ruud, who has, the least firepower of the two guys he's played at the ATP Finals so far. So interesting things happening at these ATP Finals. I'll get more videos out as the week goes on. But yeah, Djokovic beats Tsitsipas again last night. I think it's 10-2 on the head-to-head, 9 matches in a row for Djokovic over Tsitsipas. I'm calling it pigeon territory. A pigeon is someone that you can just count on yourself beating over and over and over. Think Gael Monfils for Djokovic. Think, I don't even know who, David Ferrer for Federer. I forget. There's so many guys where they've lost multiple times to these big 3 guys, and that's fair. But Stefanos Tsitsipas is one of those guys who is attempting to overtake the big 3 at the top of the tennis world right now. And him losing 9 times in a row to Djokovic is very weird for me. It kind of snuck up on me when I think after Astana, I realized how one-sided that head-to-head has become, and that's not good if you're Stefanos. So we'll see how the tournament progresses. We'll see. Maybe they'll play again. It's happened before. But anyways, there's my 2 cents. There's the slice on Rafa losing 4 in a row. Is he ever going to win again? Of course he is, but we'll see how he can get his mojo back. We'll see how he does against Casper Ruud. So thanks for being here. This has been The Slice, and thank you for helping me get over 15,000 subscribers here on YouTube. I'll be live tweeting about most of the matches, so follow me at The Slice Steven on Twitter. Follow us on Instagram, all the things, and click the links below to support the show. You guys are legends. We'll see you next time here.